caught him again. Alba with a left, then a left, then another right. Alba again.
He's gonna stop it.
That's going to be it, and it's over. It's all over.
He looked like a rabbit just sprinting out of a hole.
Oh,
no, he's ready.
Goodness, Tyrone Davis.
Yes,
Oh, mercy.
Don't know if he's getting up.
Harrison with a left and then another left. Going for a right. Soto goes down. A vicious right, and that might be the night. Oh, he's going to have a hard time getting up. That's it. It's over. Oh, it's over.
Journeyman Boxing.
All right, 8 o'clock straight up on a Friday in the Journeyman Boxing Network studios, and of course simulcasting on 1360 WNJC, super1360.com. Rich Quinones here. We'll take you up to 9 o'clock. We'll talk a little West Coast boxing in about 30 minutes with Adam Lopez. We'll go right in our backyard. Philadelphia, you always love talking Philly boxing, Philly fighting. Jerome Conquest, a good-looking fighter out of Philadelphia, 6-1 mark. Tough Southpaw super lightweight joins me for a couple moments. How you been, Jerome?
I'm good. How you doing, Rich?
I'm doing real well. And I was looking at your next fight, and it is confirmed that you're going to fight Victor Vasquez. Yes or no?
Yes, it's confirmed. I'm fighting Victor Vasquez from New York, 5-2.
Okay. And it's funny because Vasquez, he's from Yonkers, New York. So you look at him, and he's a young kid. And the funny thing about him is, I think that's a good fight for you because you'll get some rounds in. Even though he really hasn't fought guys with winning records, I just look at it as I look at yourself. I see how old you are. I see this, if someone might deem it the late start to the game, so to speak. But it's 6-1. You get a win like this, you go to 7-1. I think you're setting yourself up to be pretty active going forward. So what's your thoughts on this fight?
My thoughts on this fight, I'm just going to come in and do what I do. I'm going to box you, I'm going to frustrate you, and if I can knock you out, I'll knock you out.
I remember, I think it was the second fight of your career. It wasn't the Macau fight. I think it was the Peter Postle fight.
Postle fight.
Yeah, and that was, you lost on one unanimous decision, and I said, I remember calling that fight, I think I called that fight with Amir Mansour because it was the 2300 arena, and we both said, we were watching you fight. We were like, Jerome Conquest, he's got some skill, he's got some talent, but it seemed during that fight you were just tentative sometimes. And I'm just wondering, is that something that over the last year or two you worked on as a fighter to really just kind of let your hands go a little more and trust yourself?
As you bring up that fight, that fight has woken me up to show me that I have to be more active. I can't just sit there and wait on a guy. I have to be first. So that fight taught me a lot. And ever since that fight, I haven't went back to being hesitant. I'm always trying to be first on the trigger.
What was it that you did as far as training? Did you get more sparring in? Did you just have to get your mindset going where I have to engage? I got to let my hands go. Especially in 4- and 6-round fights. You know that you can't give up any rounds.
Right, and that's what I did that fight with Apostle. I gave up some close rounds. At the end of the day, I feel as though I outboxed him. I landed more punches. I threw more punches. But at the same time, he landed the cleaner and the harder shots. And I guess that's what the judges was scoring. Because the only time he landed punches was when I sat there in front of him. But
right.
Ever since that fight, I haven't been sitting in front of anybody. You got to come get me.
I'm sure people brought this to your attention. Boxing's weird and it's goofy, but obviously it's a beautiful sport. When you have a fighter that's 20 and they have 6, 7, 8 fights, they're like, okay, you know what? They're coming along. We're moving them the way that we need to move them. But then you look at yourself, you're 30, and someone would say, well, here's a guy that technically is in his boxing prime, but he only has a handful of fights. Was that more or less a late start to the game? Was it deciding if you wanted to be a full-time fighter? Because a lot of times people have other commitments. Job, they have to work, they have families, they go to school, maybe they're working 2 or 3 jobs. So talk a little bit about that from your background, from that perspective. Give the listening audience a little more insight.
From that perspective, me getting a late start, it was more so of I didn't have the love for boxing. A lot of people don't know, when I was 8 years old, I was in the gym. I was in the gym with guys like Deion Kennedy,
yep,
Carl Darton, Mike Sharp,
yep,
Rock Island, Tiger Island. Like, I was in the gym with guys like that over at Champ's Boxing Gym over in North Philly. and 2600 when I was younger. But I never took it seriously. I was more so of me getting my priorities straight with my family as I got older. When I had my first child when I was 17, so my priorities was more set on getting a job, and my heart was more set on playing basketball than being a boxer.
You played basketball in college? In high school?
I played basketball in college. I played basketball in high school.
What position you play? Forward?
I played point guard. I'm a little guy. I'm 25'6". 25'6" with long arms.
Hey, you put some muscle in the last couple of years. You know, you mentioned the late start. Did anyone ever try to kind of deter you away and maybe say, look, you're 27, you're 28, it's not for you? Did they try to maybe sway you to try to maybe do something else, or just try to work on a full-time job?
Nobody never said that to my face, because they know that I could be a hothead at time and I would cuss them out. But nobody never said that to my face. But I know it has been said, but it just haven't been said to my face. And that's one of the things that makes me want to work harder than a 20-year-old, 25-year-old. Like, that's what pushes me and keeps me motivated, that is people out there that's thinking, since I'm 27, 28, 29, and now I'm 30, that I can't do this. So this is why I always stay in shape and I'm always ready.
That's a good point that's a real good point that you bring up. Again, a couple minutes with Jerome Conquest. Rich Quinones here, Journeyman Boxing Network, and of course streaming across the board on super1360.com in the friendly confines of 1360 WNJC. I think you bring up a really good point, and let's be honest. I mean, half the time people say stuff, it's never in front of someone's face. I mean, look at social media. I mean, social media, people would just flat out hate, but I would venture to guess 99.9% wouldn't say that in front of said person's face. So, yeah, I mean, it's just what it is. You can't pay mind to that. But I'm just wondering, when did that spark go off? When did that love of boxing come back for you where, hey, I can do this. I can do this.
The love really kicked in when I was in when I was in the training camp with Tion Kennedy when he was getting ready to fight Rigondeaux.
Oh, sure.
Tion Kennedy was getting ready to fight Rigondeaux. I was in camp for 3 months with Tion Kennedy, and I seen the way how the lifestyle is inside training camps and everything, and I think that woke me up to tell me that, I mean, you can't play boxing. You have to be boxing. You have to live boxing. Blood, sweat, and tears, no matter what, you have to stay committed to the craft. After that training camp, what I did with Tion Kennedy, helping him get ready for Rigondeaux, that's when I really, my passion grew more for it.
Yeah, and that goes back to 2012, and you wound up turning pro 2 years later. Did you have an extensive amateur career?
My amateur career, I only had 16 fights.
Wow.
I was 12-4. I was 12-4 as an amateur. And I fought in two nationals. And after I fought in the Golden Glove Championship and I got robbed, my trainer was just saying, I think it's time for us to go pro. So we went pro.
That's funny, because you'll see that a lot with the I cover a ton of amateur boxing as well, and you see that all the time. As soon as someone gets robbed in the Golden Gloves or the Nationals or Regionals, they'll get pulled to the side and be like, you know what, it's just the scoring's flawed. Let's try to go pro, and that's typically what happens. How about fighting as a southpaw? Because you do present some problems, and no one likes to fight a southpaw. Is that what you learned from the onset, or were you more of an orthodox fighter that switched to southpaw?
I was more so taught how to fight southpaw when I first walked into the gym when I was 8 years old. I'm naturally right-handed, but it's things. I mean, just by me playing basketball and football. I learned how to do things with my left hand. I could go either way. I mean, I just like off of my one and only knockout. It didn't come from me being southpaw. It came from me switching up being right-handed.
So you're a Philly boxer. You played hoops in high school. You're a Philly guy. Now, are you a Sixers fan? Do you follow the NBA?
Man, I haven't been a Sixers fan ever since they got rid of Iverson. But I mean, I still support all Philly teams, but
how can you support the Sixers when they make it a point to tank?
Yeah.
That's it? You're not giving me anything else?
They do. Like I support all Philly teams though. no matter what the sport is, hockey, baseball, it doesn't matter. I support it, but at the same time, it's just I don't really be having time to sit down and watch TV all the time because I work a 9 to 5. I had 3 kids, and I'm always training, so I don't be having time to sit down and watch TV, keep up on sports all the time.
What, are you taking a shot at me?
No, I'm not.
9 to 5 job, boxer, and 3 kids.
With my feet up. I wish I could just sit there with my feet up.
Oh, come on. Now you know that. How active do you want to be? Because let's be honest, right? As we start to close things out,
I can't even hear you, Rich.
How active do you want to be going forward? Because the reality is, time is not always a boxer's best friend, and you look at yourself at 30 years of age.
I got 2 more fights lined up after this one, so that's the kind of pace that I'm trying to be on.
So you're pushing it.
As long as we don't suffer any kind of crazy injuries or cuts or anything, I would like to keep going every other month if I can.
Wow.
That's what I told my management, and that's what I've been telling them ever since the day that I signed. I want to keep fighting every other month, if not every 2 months. I just want to be active. Just get me to fight. That's the only thing I want. Get me to fight, and the only thing I just got to do is do my job is make sure that I'm in shape and I'm prepared and I'm prepared to fight. Just get me to fight.
Vasquez fight a 6-rounder?
Yes, this is a 6-rounder. This is going to be my third 6-rounder.
Okay, so then conditioning is obviously not an issue. It's when you start to go up to maybe like a 8 or 10-rounder that's different. So as we close it out, you feel you have a sense of urgency here with getting some of these fights in?
No, there's no sense of urgency. As long as I take care of my body and do everything what I need to do inside and outside the gym, I think I can stick around for a very long time and have a nice, healthy career.
Well, look, it's not a bad start for you at this stage of the game. Finally got you on board. Appreciate a couple moments. We'll get you in studio so you can see that I don't have my feet up on the table.
It wasn't a shot at you, Rich. Rich, you know you my man.
Hey, right back at you, Jerome. I appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you in action in a couple weeks, pal.
All right, thank you.
All right, you got it. Jerome Conquest joining us for a couple moments.